Hi, my name is Phil Anderson and I'm running for United States Senate to represent Wisconsin. In front of me tonight I have a CSA box. If you don't know what a CSA is, it's Community Supported Agriculture. It's where people put in money at the beginning of the season and then the farmer produces food, seasonally appropriate foods all year, and you get a box of it every week as your share of the harvest. Community Supported Agriculture. We have a CSA box share that we get every week. And I think it's a magnificent example of the free market at work, because people that operate CSAs could certainly be doing something else. They could go back to more conventional farming where they're getting subsidies to grow corn or to produce milk or whatever that might be, have their prices controlled. But these people are choosing to opt out to produce healthier, I think more delicious food, and conduct their business in a different way, operating through the CSA market. It's a magnificent thing. It recognizes that there are people out there, and there are many across the state, that want something different other than what they can get in the grocery store, and maybe have emotional or historical ties to traditional agriculture or whatever. It's a beautiful thing. It's the free market at work, because the people that grow these, in particular the folks at Harmony Valley, grow this food and they exchange it with me for money that I've earned. We're both profiting from that. We get better food than we can get at Woodman's, healthier, and feel like we know who we're supporting specifically. We can go out to the farm and pick strawberries when they're ripe. We participate in the activities of the CSA farm when we can, and of course the farmer gets paid more than he would get if he was simply shipping off his food to Roundy's or Surefine or Woodman's or Cops or Costco or whoever. There's a lot more pride in that, because there's a direct exchange with somebody that's producing something and somebody's consuming it. And I know exactly where I'm getting this from, who's growing it, how they're growing it, and I know that I'm getting it ripe, not sort of fake ripe. And that's the way that a lot of our fruits and vegetables arrive at the store, where they appear to be ripe, but they're not physiologically ripe. That is, that they have turned a certain color, yellow or red or green or whatever is right for that particular organism, but they're actually not in terms of nutrients. These, however, we know we get them at the right time of year, so we know that they're ripe the correct way, and they have all the full goodness, healthy deliciousness that they should have. And the farmer's profiting, and I'm profiting, and everyone's happy. And we still go to Woodman's for certain things, because there's certain things that Phil Woodman does better and than any other than the CSA could do, but for this we choose to go to Harmony Valley, and they do a great job. Now, CSAs are something, they might not seem to be a libertarian type issue, but there are a lot of things that go on in your community and in the economy that reflect the idea that free markets work. Anytime you exchange your money for something, and that person or entity provides you with goods or services, and both sides are better off, that's the free market at work. Especially if the government's not involved. They tax everything pretty much, but if there's not too much regulation or too much crony capitalism involved or whatever, favoritism in the regulatory environment, whatever it might be, everyone's better off. I make something, you like it. I take the fruit, I get you some of the fruit of your labor by virtue of you giving me money for what I'm providing you. That's the basic thing. And when it's done freely and with as little regulation as possible, and the person that's providing the goods and services can look the person that's paying them in the eye, and there's that trust, that bond, then the free market becomes human. It becomes an exchange between people, and there becomes a relationship that is meaningful and that assures and helps build a bond of trust between the producer and the consumer. It's the same way for raw milk. I'm a huge proponent of raw milk. I consume it occasionally. I make cheese out of it, delicious feta cheese. And that's something that should be allowed in this sort of market as well, where if I want to pay a share for a cow and that farmer wants to provide me with milk, and if I want to pasteurize or unpasteurize, I should be able to choose that based on which farmer I go to. But that currently is illegal in Wisconsin because of, you guessed it, crony capitalism. The dairy industry feels threatened by individual producers of milk, as they should, because while grocery store milk is useful, it's not nearly as good as raw milk. It doesn't have nearly the nutrients. And when I buy raw milk from somebody who I know, who I can look in the eye and I can see their farm, and I know that their cows aren't walking around in their own filth, like what happens at commercial dairy farms in some cases. There's a lot of good dairy farms in Wisconsin, of course, that don't operate that way, but or get meat or eggs from places that treat their animals so poorly, and the products of the filthy environment end up in our systems. I know that when I look into the eyes of my farmer, whether they're giving me vegetables or raw milk, that there's a trust there, there's accountability there that can only exist in a market where things are freely given and freely received and not coerced by the government. So, as your senator in Washington, I will look at every issue involving the economy and look for freedom and for more opportunities for people to exchange freely for the benefit of both sides, not have the government involved too much in regulation, and certainly not have the government involved in picking winners and losers in producers and consumers, because that ends up corrupting the whole relationship that I'm talking about between somebody producing a good or a service and somebody paying money for it, and both of them being happy. As your senator, I will help us get back to that, the basic exchange of money for goods and services to the benefit of both. Thanks, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.